Hold tight, because the news is coming at you fast. David Johnstone, Northern Ireland's Veterans Commissioner, is making waves, stating that veterans aren't seeking immunity, but a fair process to address the past. This comes after a coroner's report found soldiers used unreasonable force in a 1972 shooting in Belfast, a case shadowed by the upcoming Troubles Bill and concerns over potential amnesty for veterans. Paul Maskey is voicing strong opposition to any such immunity, demanding truth and justice for families. But the fight for a balanced process is just beginning.
Here's a simple way to protect your phone without stress. This Linehan 3-pack comes with tempered glass screen protectors, camera lens protectors, and an installation frame for an easier, cleaner fit. It's clear, case-friendly, and built to help guard against scratches and everyday bumps. Check the link in the comments to get it on Amazon.
Now, across the Atlantic, a surprising turn. Despite rejecting the monarchy 250 years ago, America just gave King Charles a remarkably warm welcome. From the White House to small-town streets, the U.S. embraced royalty, even as transatlantic tensions simmer over the Iran war. The king's speech to Congress sparked debate. Was it a subtle rebuke to President Trump? Republicans disagree, but the visit certainly ignited political sparks and even led to a tariff removal on Scotch whiskey. The royal charm offensive is in full effect. The legal battles continue for Graham Linehan, the co-creator of Father Ted, who has had his conviction overturned after being accused of damaging a transgender campaigner's phone. Linehan is now accusing police of taking sides in the case, alleging a pattern of bias towards trans rights activists. He claims the police failed to fairly investigate, eroding public trust. Justice Amanda Tipples ruled there wasn't enough evidence to prove Linehan caused the damage, but the debate over fair policing and free speech is far from over. And finally, a heartbreaking case in Wimbledon. Claire Fremantle, 49, has been charged with causing death by dangerous driving after a 4x4 crashed into the study prep school in July 2023, tragically killing 2 8-year-old girls and injuring 7 others. She faces multiple charges, and this case is sending shockwaves through the community. Stay with us for the latest on all these stories and more. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and don't miss a single update. A coroner's ruling that soldiers used unreasonable force in the 1972 Spring Hill shootings in Belfast has reignited debate over how to deal with the legacy of Northern Ireland's troubles. The inquest, the last to conclude before a deadline imposed by the UK government's Legacy Act, found soldiers and were responsible, though criminal convictions are deemed unlikely. While families hailed the inquest process as vital for uncovering the truth, Northern Ireland's Veterans Commissioner, David Johnstone, insists veterans aren't seeking immunity, but a fair and balanced process. Johnstone argues that analyzing split-second decisions of soldiers by civilian judges unfamiliar with combat situations is unfair, particularly given the destruction of evidence and effective amnesty granted to paramilitary groups in 1998. He advocates for a system preventing vexatious prosecutions and ensuring a high evidentiary threshold. West Belfast MP Paul Maskey, however, voiced concerns that the British government's proposed Troubles Bill will include immunity for military veterans, a prospect he and many victims' families strongly oppose. Maskey emphasized the need for legislation that earns the confidence of victims, adheres to human rights standards, and delivers truth and justice, as outlined in the 2014 Stormont House Agreement, asserting that any amnesty for British soldiers would be unacceptable. 250 years after rejecting monarchy, America extended a warm welcome to King Charles and Queen Camilla this week, temporarily sidelining partisan politics and captivating U.S. television audiences. The state visit, marking the 250th anniversary of America's split from Britain, occurred amidst strained transatlantic relations over the Iran war and disagreements between President Trump and Prime Minister Starmer. The trip centered on interpreting the king's nuanced messaging, with many in the UK perceiving his speech to Congress as a subtle critique of the US president, emphasizing the importance of a strong NATO and the separation of powers. The New York Times noted that Americans may have missed the sharp edges of the king's message, while Trump seemingly remained oblivious, remarking on the royal couple as great people the nation needs. However, Republicans strongly rejected this interpretation, asserting that the king praised shared culture, history, and military accomplishments. Disagreement also arose over the king's calls for unwavering support for Ukraine and environmental protection, with some Republicans remaining seated during applause. Notably, Vice President J.D. Vance appeared impassive while House Speaker Mike Johnson applauded. The visit was leveraged for political jabs, with the White House posting a photo of Charles and Trump with the caption, "Two Kings," a taunt aimed at critics portraying Trump as a would-be monarch and fueling "No Kings" protests. Trump's supporters accused Democrats of hypocrisy for applauding a real king while supporting recent demonstrations. Beyond Washington, the royal couple enjoyed genuine popularity, drawing massive crowds in Front Royal, Virginia, where locals expressed excitement and admiration. One farmer even named newborn lambs Charles and Camilla. The visit's immediate impact was evident with President Trump announcing the removal of tariffs on Scotch whiskey. However, the long-term effects remain uncertain in a rapidly changing political landscape. A conviction for Father Ted co-creator Graham Linehan has been overturned, leading him to accuse police of bias towards trans rights activists. Linehan, 57, was initially found guilty of criminal damage for an incident involving transgender campaigner Sophia Brooks outside a conference in Westminster in October 2024. However, Mrs. Justice Amanda Tipples ruled Friday that there was insufficient evidence to prove Linehan damaged Brooks' mobile phone. Speaking outside Southwark Crown Court, Linehan stated the case should never have got to court, alleging a pattern of police forces prioritizing activists' claims over those of gender-critical campaigners. He criticized what he described as two-tier policing and expressed hope the verdict would bring an end to it. Linehan, who has been a vocal critic of transgender activism, stated he's faced significant hardship in his advocacy and thanked his legal team and supporters. The judge's decision hinged on the lack of contemporaneous evidence regarding the phone's condition and the fact that Brooks didn't report phone damage until weeks after the incident. The court also noted Brooks' admission during the initial trial that securing a conviction against Linehan would be a medal. Linehan was previously cleared of harassing Brooks with social media posts, though the judge acknowledged they were deeply unpleasant. The courtroom erupted in cheers and applause following the verdict, while Brooks was not present for the ruling. A 49-year-old woman, Claire Fremantle, has been charged with causing death by dangerous driving following a devastating crash at the study prep school in Wimbledon last July. The incident resulted in the deaths of two 8-year-old girls and left 7 others with serious injuries. Fremantle faces 2 counts of causing death by dangerous driving and 7 counts of causing serious injury by dangerous driving. The crash involved a 4x4 vehicle impacting the Southeast London primary school. Further details regarding the case and upcoming court dates have not yet been released.